Hello and welcome to another How Lou Sees It special review week. This is day 2. We're taking a look at all of the David Sirlin games this week. And so yesterday we take a look at Yomi, the black box there. One thing I failed to mention is, I think I mentioned there is a thing called Fantasy Strike universe, and there's fantasystrike.com where you can play all of these really online, which is really cool. But all of the characters in Yomi, the 20 available characters that you can get, are available. Well, you'll see them in Puzzle Strike. You'll see 10 of the different characters. In the standalone expansion Puzzle Strike Shadows, you'll see the other 10 characters. In the game that we're going to be looking at today, you will see all 20 characters available to you in this Flash Duel. And Pendente, when we look at that, that's really kind of an offshoot, but it's looking at the Panda gambling game, but it has some tie-in there with the gambling panda. So today, though, like I mentioned, we're going to be looking at Flash Duel. Okay, and this is a fairly, the smallest box of all the boxes here. Okay, but there is so much stuff in this and so much game value in this. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. So that's just the box there. You open it up, what you'll find here is you'll find a rule book that's folded in half here, and this is the box. You'll have this board here will fit in here, and then you got some space in here to add there. There's the other thing though I mentioned, so that box is small, right? Well, you can play the majority of the modes of this game with this little box. That's it. You'll have to kind of keep track of wins and things other than the provided tokens that you have in this box. But you could take this little deck, and I brought out a regular poker deck. This is from Yomi, and if I hold it up here, it's not that much bigger. It's slightly bigger, but it's the same height there. And so it's very, very portable. You can pack this in here. In this box, you fit all 20 of the different character cards. You have the number cards here to play the modes, and a few cards to actually make this board here with the cards that you can play with. I have a full mode 2-player game set up here, but so there are a total of 50 of these cards here, numbered 1 through 5, and in this full version just for 2 players, I need to say the caveat, I guess I can talk about that now as well, that the Flash Duel, as I mentioned in the Yomi video, they kind of did a newer version of it. Well, Flash Duel, they kind of revamped and changed a few things here and there as well, rule-wise and things like that, but you can get that new version. There's a Kickstarter going on right now, which I also failed to mention in the first video. A Kickstarter going on for an expansion to Pendente, and kind of a newer version of that base game as well. And in that Kickstarter, you can actually snag a newer version of Flash Duel as well that will have kind of the updated rules and things. So there are rules here that I'll talk about today in this video. I don't want to confuse you, so I'm just going to talk about what the rules are for this game right now. And you can look at the Kickstarter in the interview that I did, which I'll also have a link to. You can kind of see the difference in that version as well. But today I'm looking at the current, the second version here. And so anyway, for this full mode, we got 25 of these cards here, numbered 1 through 5. And so a total of 25 cards, and each character in this, there's 20 different available characters. You choose a character and you pull all 3 of their special ability cards out. You got these nice little wooden pawn tokens that are also in the game. Quality of the cards, very good. Again, same quality as the Yomi cards, or seems like. Again, they're nice cards. They don't have like the linen type finish on them, but still very, very good quality. You have the board here. It's cardboard. It has kind of a glossy finish on it. It folds in half and fits in the board. Or if you're playing the travel edition, you got deck of cards over here that you can go ahead and lay out in that board format that you see right there. There's also some traitor. There's well, I'll show you. I won't show you all the modes, but there's some cards here for a different mode against the big dragon over here. You got a big dragon pawn. You got a couple other pawns there for team modes, and then you got these big cards for the ability cards for the dragon. Bigger is better. I got those, and so that's really what's in the game. In the box, when you open it up, you got 5 of these little win tokens. Usually you're going to be playing at best 3 out of 5 game here. And you'll see these rounds go very, very quickly. So let's go ahead and show you just basically the concept of the game here. You got a couple of fighters. You got this little bridge that they're going to be fighting on. Apologize for the glare there. Try to minimize that. There we go. And so I'm blue, and the other player will be yellow. I've taken on this guy here, and you'll see kind of named abilities up here. I got reversal, martial mastery, knowing the opponent. And my opponent over here has flame arrow, smoldering embers, and charged shot. Okay, and again, these characters, the theme and kind of their style of fighting is carried throughout. Flash Duel, Yomi, Puzzle Strike. It's very, very cool to see that done. Okay, so this game is very, very simple though. Okay. Let me backtrack just a little bit. Come over here to the rule book. Very well done. But there are so many different ways that you can play Flash Duel here. So you can kind of see a table of contents, if you will, for the rules. There's a simple mode, which a simple mode is basically it's the base game there, but in simple mode you wouldn't have any character ability cards at all. Okay. Then you have the full mode, which you see is kind of in bold there. That's, generally speaking, what's going to be played most of the time. Custom Clockwork, that's a mode. Don't really need to go into it great in depth, but that mode basically, instead of having, all 3 of these character cards, it's a cool mode where you would be able to pull out all of these character cards and you'd basically pick and choose different abilities from the characters and make your own character that would have different abilities. So it's pretty cool. So there's that little variation option. There's a solo mode, so you can play this game against kind of a bot. It has instructions on how to do that in here. You have a team battle of 2 versus 2, and then you have this, showed you the dragon and the dragon cards already, but there's a raid on Deathstrike Dragon, and you can play that. One person's going to play the dragon, and then you're going to play that. You may have 2, 3, or 4 other people against you. Or you have also the betrayal at raid on Deathstrike Dragon, which makes it even more difficult to go against this dragon, because one of your teammates, one of the 4, is actually trying to kind of help the dragon win. So very, very cool instruction booklet here, the layout there with the different modes, and it's really not that complicated to go from mode to mode, but I'm really going to focus on just the full mode here, showing you that, and it really kind of gives you the thing. And I'll just show you some of the Deathstrike cards and show you kind of how powerful the dragon can be. But we'll focus on really this full game to give you an idea of the game, and I'll give you my thoughts on that and the different modes. So again, you can play this online as well for yourself, and go play it online and see how you feel about it. But it's a very, very fun game. Very, very simple to play, very quick. So let's go ahead and take a look. So the simple mode, full mode, very, very similar, except for you're going to be adding in these character abilities. So each person starts on a starting space over there, and basically what you're going to do is you're going to, on your turn, choose one action to do. You can either move, you can either push an opponent, or you can attack, or you can perform a dashing strike. Okay, so at the beginning of the game, you choose who goes first. You can flip up one of these tokens, head, tails, or whatever someone calls it, and you can go off from there. So what happens is, at the very beginning of the game, you're so far apart, you're going to be performing a move action, most likely. All right. Actually, don't think. Well, it's technically, yeah. You're going to be performing a move action. You can't do anything else. You are so many spaces away from the opponent, you can't even do a dashing strike. The farthest you can move across the board would be to perform a dashing strike of move 5, and then I would be able to attack 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and be able to get to that 10 space. Okay, so move action. What is a move action? Well, basically you're going to take one of your cards, you're going to play that into the discard pile here, and I'm going to move 3 spaces forward. 1, 2, 3. Boom. Very, very easy. The other thing that you can do for a move action, I'm just going to pull out another card here. If I had a 1, I could play that, and I could move forward 1 space. Okay, I can move up 1 space that way, or I could move backwards. I can move backwards if I want to. Let's say I was here, and for some odd reason I wanted to move back, and I wanted to move back to the start, and I only could play a 4 or something like that. You can move up until the start space and stop. Okay. Okay. The other thing is, if my opponent was here and I wanted to just play a move, the same thing would go as here. I could play a 3 as a move, but I wouldn't move onto the same space. I'm not going to move any further than right up against my opponent. Okay, so that's the move action. Alright, so that's the move action. The other thing that I can do is a push action. So I was actually kind of already set up and established. So if I wanted to move there, I could, and I don't know what happens anyway. Looking at a different scenario, we're set up right here. I could push the opponent back. So basically, choose one of the cards in my hand here, play a 3, and I would push the opponent back 1, 2, 3 spaces. Okay, and it's all about where your opponent is and where you are on this board, relative how many spaces are in between you and your opponent. Okay, so that's a push action. And let's see here, attack. Let's do the attack action. Okay, so I am 1, 2, 3. The opponent is 4 spaces away from me. So if I come here, look at my hand, I have a 4. So I can perform an attack action as long as I have a card here, which I do, the 4, to play. My opponent is 4 away, so I am attacking him with my 4. Now, what happens is, since I'm attacking him, my opponent has to block. He has to block that 4. And he has to block that 4 by playing another 4 from his hand. So he plays a 4, blocks my attack. That would be it. If he's unable, if he does not have a 4 there to block, I win that round. That is, the round is over, I get a win token. Okay? But it's not always going to be that easy. And there's another thing that you can do, is if I had 2 4s in my hand, I could play down 2 4s at the same time, and in order to block that attack, my opponent must discard 2 4s as well. Okay? Now, there's only 5 cards of each in this deck, right? 1 through 5 25 cards. There's 5 cards of 5 ones, 5 fives, etc. So, attacking with 2 4s, that's a pretty powerful attack, though, attacking with 2 cards. So that's it. The other thing that you can do, though, is a dashing strike. Okay, so you may be moving back and forth, and my opponent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's say he's here. He's 6 spaces away from me. So right now he knows that I can't attack him. I can't do the attack action because that would require me to be as close as 5 spaces or closer to be able to perform an attack. But he is still within that, the very beginning I kind of talked about the furthest you could move attack is 10 spaces with a dashing strike. Well, I can perform a dashing strike where I play a card, say this one, and then I play an attack of, let's say, 5. So I move 1 and then I'm doing 5. But this is considered a dashing strike, and my opponent has 2 options then at this point. They can block it. Okay, if they play another 5 from their hand, they can play that, discard that, and that would block that dashing strike. Okay, or if I was unfortunate and did not have any 5s, I would be in luck because it was a dashing strike. I can retreat. Okay, and basically I would just play. So let's say I have a 2. Boom, I play my 2, and I would move my person back 1, 2 spaces. Okay. The other thing that's involved with retreating is that my opponent then has to recover next turn. Okay, he can't take any of the actions of moving or anything like that, or play any of his abilities. He has to just draw back up to. He can draw back up to 5 cards, but that's it. Okay, so obviously it's not the most favorable thing to do a retreat, but at the same time, you're going to be in positions where, well, it's retreat or you lose that round. So you're going to end up doing retreating. Okay? And then at the end of choosing one of those actions, resolving that, discarding those cards that were played this turn, then you draw back up until you have 5 cards. And then your turn ends and your opponent takes their turn. Okay? And that's one turn. The round is when someone wins. When someone performs an attack, the person can't block or whatever. The other thing to consider is if my opponent's right here, and even if I do a dashing strike or something, a dashing strike and attack this person, they can't physically retreat back any further. So they have to block. If they can't block, then they're going to lose that round. If time runs out, so to speak, so in fighting games we have different, usually a time element. Well, once these cards are all gone, what's going to happen is the final card is drawn. At that point, we've gone back and forth. The person who is, proceeded up the board the furthest will be the winner. Okay, if we've both went up the same distance or whatnot, then that would be a draw. We'd have to play another round, and that's the game. The abilities here, you have 3 different abilities that you can play. You can only play one of these abilities per turn, so I can't utilize all of these abilities on the same turn, but we're going to be restricted on when we can play these anyway. But then at the end of the round, so say I defeated my opponent, I get a win token, and we progress to the next round. We start over. Then all of these abilities that were used up will be flipped over and able to be used again. So looking at, just give you an example of some of these abilities. So like this flame arrow at the start of your turn. So this text right here will tell you when it could be utilized. Attack this turn as if you played a 6. No discard required. The opponent can't block it unless he has a 6. Okay, so yeah. No discard required. The opponent can't block it unless he has a 6. Well, as I described to you earlier, right, the deck only has cards 1 through 6, so he would be out of luck. Flame Arrow, pretty powerful. You want to avoid when we're playing against Jaina here, Stormborn. Oh, which is kind of funny. This is Grave Stormborn, by the way, and this is Jaina Stormborn. Anyway, so yeah, so you want to make sure that you're not 6 spaces away from Jaina at the start of your turn, or else that's trouble. Okay, Smoldering Embers, also at the start of your turn, you can retrieve a 5 from the discard pile. Okay, pretty cool. Charged Shot, start of your turn, all of hers are on start of her turn. Reveal a card from your hand, push an opponent back that many spaces. Okay, let's take a look at these ones over here. Knowing the opponent, this one can be played when your opponent retreats from your Dashing Strike. So I'll explain the Dashing Strike. My opponent retreated, so I can then use this ability, knowing the opponent, and my opponent reveals their hand. How powerful is that? Pretty darn powerful, considering that the game is all about attacking and winning with them not being able to block. So if I see my opponent's hand and it looks something like this, that is some really good information to know. Okay, they're heavy 5s, and if I don't have a 5, you know, I'm going to avoid being 5 spaces away, or the Dashing Strike, the combo of 7 spaces, 8 spaces away. You know, different things that you can look at there becomes very, very useful to you. Okay, Martial Mastery. Oh, and the other thing, I mean, so I know they don't have any 4s, right? So if I have a 4 and my opponent just retreated, if I can somehow dash strike up to do a 4 or something, you know, it's just very, very cool. This ability, start of your turn, see this one, Martial Mastery, start of your turn, or you're attacked, so either one, you can discard a pair. If you do, retrieve a card from the discard pile to your hand. So very, very useful there. So even when you're attacked, so if I'm attacked with, you know, 2 of those 5s or something like that, and I only have 1 5, but I have 2 2s, I could discard those 2s, retrieve another 5 if there is one from the discard pile, and I'd be able to block that, so pretty cool. This one is a reversal. Opponent uses an ability from a dark space, counter that ability, prevent it from happening. So that comes to the board. Some of the character abilities, you'll see there's light spaces and dark spaces. So if my opponent's on a dark space, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So start of their turn, they're like, oh, bam. And they aren't realizing your card text over there. They're like, okay, boom, I'm going to use my Flame Arrow, and I'm going to attack you as if I played a 6. Well, they exhaust that, and all of a sudden, boom, I just say, hey, I'm performing my reversal then, and flipping that over, and it's just counteracted. So, pretty cool. So, those are just 2 of 20 characters. So lots and lots of different abilities in this game. And again, there's the mode where you can say, okay, well, you know, I'm going to mix up all of these abilities, and you just have, you know, 60 abilities that you can choose from to make up a character of 3 abilities. So very, very cool. So as you can see, the game can go very, very quickly going through this here, but that's one of the highlights of this. Is it's such just this really simple game, but it's fast and really enjoyable to try to see these different combinations and things that you can do here. One of the things I think in the newer version, depending on like the number of players and things like that, this game comes with 50 cards. Okay, it comes with 50 cards. This 2-player full mode, you're only going to play with 25. And for the different modes, you play with, okay, 40 cards or all 50 cards for some of the Deathstrike Dragon modes. In the newer version, I think it's, if I remember right, it's set so that it's going to be like a set 40 cards that you're going to play with every time. So that's something that could change. If you have people who are really good at keeping track of cards, counting cards and things like that, with this fewer deck of 25, that's, fewer options there, and you can kind of easier to keep track of stuff. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but it's just a fun, quick little game. Again, very, very portable, but it's really fun. I enjoy it a lot. It does happen occasionally where we have a timeout where you have to figure out there. There was also a mode in this version, basically at the timeout, actually what happens is I said that whoever progressed the furthest. Well, in this version, it had it tells you to basically look at your hand. Can anyone else perform a final, kind of attack? And go over that. But in the newer version, I think they got rid of that. It maybe complicates things a little bit, and it's just simpler to leave it as is. So looking at the other modes, though, there is a bunch of other modes that you can play. You have the one where you can have up to 4 people here go into battle up against Deathstrike Dragon. Well, Deathstrike Dragon has a bunch of ability cards. Now, he's not going to play with all of these ability cards each time, but I'm going to give you an idea of what these ability cards that he has look like. So 1, Deep Breath. Instead of your turn's main action, moving, all those regular ones, attack this turn as if you played a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 simultaneously. So if he's up there and he's got all these people up here, all these people are going to have to react to that. What was it? 2? Oh yeah, 1, 2. So, who knows? Probably aren't gonna. The people aren't gonna get themselves in the situation. But bam, he's attacking the 1 space, the 2 space, the 3 space, and the 4 space. He's attacking all of those people, and they're all gonna have to respond to that with the cards. So, very, very powerful. Start your turn. Mortals on dark spaces. Discard 2 cards. Bam. 13 and 14 there, they're going to have to discard 2 cards. Okay, and he can, try to optimize that with when the players are positioned such. Perfect counter, a mortal plays an ability, counter that ability. This one here, you move, all mortals must retreat. So you moving ahead, they're going to retreat. They discard a card, retreat that many spaces, recover next turn. Punish Insolence. A mortal dashing blocks. Take another turn after this one. Dashing block is a new term. You can basically come up and help out your opponents by coming up and blocking if they weren't able to. A mortal dashing strikes. You can block with a card that's a 1 higher number than the strike, so it allows him to have a little bit better blocking ability. You defeat a mortal, flip all your other ability cards face up to replenish them. Bam! So utilize those, you kill one of them, get them all back, you can do them again. Tempest, you get hit but aren't yet defeated. Choose a mortal, all other mortals teleport to their start space. Okay? So, all sorts of stuff. And you may be thinking, well, in the original version, you said, person can't block, the other person wins the round. In the raid on Deathstrike Dragon, according to the number of other players, mortals, so if you have 2 mortals, you're going to have to hit the dragon twice before he's dead. If you're playing with all 4, you're going to have to hit him 4 times. And you'll see here the dragon hand size is going to be different for that. Dragon ability cards, he would get 4 with 2 players, 4 of those, or if he's playing against 4, he's going to get 8 ability cards. So, but very, very cool. Then you have the betray mode over here, and the cards and stuff designated with that. You got the little cards here that you'd pass out. Secret, keep secret, who's gonna be the betrayer. Anyway, so huge deck of cards here, right? That actually fits into this. Sorry about the camera here. This little box here. Boom. You would still need some tokens of such, some pennies, quarters, or something to distinguish you from one another if you're playing just out of that box. But the quality of the components is great. The travelability and replayability of this game, just like all the other Sirlin games here, is fantastic. And it's really fun to get to know some of these characters and to be able to utilize these special abilities. But it's just a real simple little game, but there's so many different options of how to play Flash Duel. And so the value of the game is just tremendous, I think. And the bluffing here and trying to utilize dashing strike versus holding on to things. I want to try to hold up and get maybe another 4 before I do this, or 2 forward attacks is going to be big either way. Anyway, I'm just kind of turning into rambling here, but lots and lots of different options with Flash Duel. It's simple to explain, simple to play. There is not really a whole lot that you are going to be, strategizing for, minutes and minutes. I mean, it's a very quick game. Usually, there's something that you can kind of see and get a feel of what you need to do. Because of its simplicity, it is kind of, it's a lighter game. It's not, hugely strategic, but it is a lot of fun. So that is Flash Duel by Sirlin Games. And join us as I'm going to take a look at, we still need to take a look at the Puzzle Strike and Pandante. So join us for those, and until next time, I'll see you later.